welcome. My name is Ayana Luhi, and I am delighted to greet you and welcome you to Light Mastery Academy. In this episode, we are diving into healing a broken heart. I'd love to begin by sharing what a broken heart is. A broken heart is where your heart center, your spiritual heart center, goes through a fracture. If you imagine a whole circle and then there's a little fracture or sometimes a large fracture that happens, it can happen in utero. For example, if your mom is not emotionally present and you feel it and there isn't that deep connection to that infinite source through the mother's presence, you develop feeling like that what's in your heart is not important. That's a fracture from the original source of love, meaning God. We can fracture off, split off through feeling pain. We can then be a toddler and you have your story. Your story is really important, not to be held on to for the rest of your life, but to be awakened so that you know what formed you, so that you become more conscious of what you're here to break through. Imagine that, you're younger, you're 4 years old, 5 years old, and there isn't anyone that really has the time to really give you to figure things out. And that in one way it's great, you get to figure things out by yourself, but on another level deep in your heart, you begin to create judgments about yourself that you're not worthy of attention or that you don't deserve love, because if you deserved it, it would be happening. And so those decisions that we create early on in our life, perhaps when we're older, 10 to 13 years old, we just feel uncomfortable in our own body. And we find ourselves trying to cover that up and act as if everything's okay. And we split off from ourselves. And perhaps in that splitting off from ourselves, we leave the essence, that genius self, that soul self that we are, and we choose to abandon ourselves and just go in a direction where the current, the wave of connecting, being accepted by other people happens. But in that process, we abandon ourselves, and in that experience of self-abandonment and leaving perhaps that greater potential, maybe it's your intellectual goals, maybe it's your creative career goals that are opening up earlier than maybe some other individuals around you. However you abandon yourself creates that fracture in your heart. Maybe you're 16 or 17 and you are in love, and everyone says, oh, it's just, high school love, but you're really in love and you both know it, but your partner all of a sudden, without even telling you, sleeps with somebody else, breaks that bond, and you're so intuitive and you feel it and it hurts and your heart breaks. Now, each of these experiences that I've shared are just examples. We each have our own moments of internal heartbreak. I know of a young woman who remembers the moment when she was 2 years old and her father picked her up and looked at her in the eyes. And she could see he didn't want her. And so for years she lived in creating this of not wanting herself, rejecting her own self, and rejecting her greatest talents. For her, her greatest talent was writing. And she found herself in college going into the direction of using cocaine and other drugs and stimulants to keep her nervous system separate from the depth of her heartbreak. We each go through the opportunity that happens through paying attention to what we're really feeling. And instead of looking at fitting into the outside and splitting off more from ourselves and abandoning, betraying, rejecting, ABR ourselves, we turn the flashlight on, or the giant laser beam of light that we make use of in a lot of the Spirit Gateways Be Light meditation, working with light to heal our deepest wounds so that we mend ourselves, so that we can be whole and fulfill what we came here to be. And that is the underlying principle gift of the Spirit Gateways Institute in the 21st Century Liberation Roadmap. You're given all the tools and the keys to open the gateways into yourself, to have revealed your true self and know how and experience healing and mending our broken heart, our split mind and body, our split soul and spirit, and our return into the true self, true source within inside of ourself. Our broken hearts happen. They're part of being human. It's what makes being a human being so powerful. So to heal a broken heart, you have to feel your heart. And if you have found that you repeat situations, such as each relationship that you go into ends with breaking your heart. Like, why is that? Like, what keeps happening? Or why can't you find your career path? Find that. I can guarantee you, through doing this beautiful work with myself and with thousands of individuals in groups and private mentoring, that by abandoning our own heart, betraying and rejecting our own heart and what really is inside of ourselves, that heartbreak, what happens is we keep repeating the same kind of, not exactly, experiences in our life to re-trigger the broken heart. And it never ceases to amaze me how amazing the spirit part in ourself, that infinite knowingness, knows what we need in order to awaken. So we are wired, we are connected into the circuit board to awaken. And it can feel fearful to feel our broken heart, because the heart breaks and no one's there for us. That's part of it, and we don't know how to be there for ourselves. It's so incredibly empowering to learn how to be here and be one in ourselves. I once went through a breakup. Someone who said and acted they loved me, and after 5 years they just said, this doesn't work for me. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to heal my heart. I'm not ready to face the wound. 15 years later, that person died. They passed away. They left our relationship, and I was brokenhearted. And I met with a friend who is a really very refined and advanced healer and shaman. And he said, Ayana, if you were really healed, you would be okay, you'd understand. You would understand and you wouldn't be totally torn apart. And there I am sobbing. And this goes back about 20 years ago. And we sat together all day, and I had a realization and an aha moment that I had more to go in myself to heal. And in that return back to myself, I was put through many tests, and I had to come through many levels of experiences from this lifetime and many from past lifetimes. Again, another cycle, another spiral in, and that's my life. I heal so that I understand healing and that my capacity to help others heal and create the programs is impeccable. And that's who I am, and that's how I was born to be. And my experience of really coming back to me, really going through that place where I knew I was home in me, I learned a lot. And all of the information and the wisdom that I've experienced through mending my broken heart, that happened at various times in this lifetime and that I brought into this lifetime. And yes, the wounded healer has the opportunity to heal herself. And so I pass this information, this sharing, the light, the love, how to do this to you. Because in the broken heart, whether we are abused sexually, spiritually, physically, psychologically, emotionally, our heart breaks. There's a breakage. There's a breakage if we're not wanted. There's a breakage that happens through taking on the feelings, the experiences of our family system, our ancestral lineage. Our hearts can break through seeing what happens in the world. Our heart can break through seeing death and destruction. Our hearts can break because we're not fulfilling what we're here to fulfill. Our hearts can break because someone is using us and turning against us because they don't love the light that you are. And so you must love and embrace the light that you are, the truth that you are, the creative gift that you are, the essence that you are, and practice holding your gorgeous heart in love and bringing light in. Know it's always flowing. The light is always here. It doesn't just open up in a meditation. It's here all the time. And yes, there are struggles between light and dark that happen on the lower planes, meaning the planes of awareness closest to our physicality. And through those veils, we can enter into what Rumi and Kabir speak about as that divine essence of the light that you are. And so through refinding that light that you are, and the Spirit Gateway's 21st Century Liberation Roadmap is dedicated to making sure you get there and that you have that reconnection into you. Our broken hearts teach us who we are. They teach us about the fragility of our own mind. It teaches us about having to surrender into the real truth, that real light, that consciousness of super intelligence. There's a quantum field that opens up through the mended broken heart. This isn't about mind control. This isn't about superiority thinking. This isn't about disking religion. This is about moving right through the center of it all, right into the core, right into the essence, right into that point of wholeness that lives in the heart center. Isn't it just something? Like, here we are, all humans, and our hearts can break. We go through that breakage, and then through our reunion back into that divine source, the soul within us is always whole. The source of your soul is God. And so your soul is intact. We get to mend and heal our human self, filled in emotions and thoughts. We're not here to shut them down. We're not here to do that. Don't buy into it. You're here to become a feeling, connected human being who develops their mental body, the crispness and the clarity of being connected into source within yourself. That truth is what happens when you bring your heart and your mind together so that you have a balance. And you learn in the Spirit Gateway's 21st Century Liberation Roadmap tools how to reconnect your energy centers, those portals of light, what I call PowerPoint centers. They are entryways, gateways into the infinite source of consciousness that is inside of you, that's really practical. This isn't this whole body of work that's a journey home into yourself, is not separate from everyday life. Your everyday life can be the mending and the celebration of the return to the joy that is within your deepest heart. And through saying yes to mending your precious heart, and it is a gigantic heart, and that's one of the greatest gifts we all have. And for those of you who've decided to keep your heart shut down, where you've decided to keep it under lock and key, you're missing out on love. You're missing out on real living, on the real purpose of your life. And that is to become closer to the source of light, wisdom, truth, that really is God within you. The God that is the source of all religions and can be found through surrendering into that center source of light. That illumination within inside of your heart is always there. For those of you who have had a broken heart to the depth where you can't see or feel the light, know that it's still there. That light cannot be diminished. It cannot fully be destroyed. It can lessen in its strength, so it might become harder to see it, to receive it, to feel it, because the fractures, the rough edges around us can become achy and painful. It can bring up agitation and resentment. But know, by embracing your heart, you're setting an example, you're setting the pathway forward for the heart to be reunited in the source of truth, of spirit, of love that's inside of us, that all of humanity really wants. But we have to know how to access it and source that within our heart. And no matter how broken your heart is, the light within the infinite source, within creation itself, is more powerful than the break. And yes, sometimes it can take a lifetime. Sometimes it can take more than a lifetime. Sometimes it can take a moment to mend and feel your heart releasing and surrendering and being held in that divine source that's always here inside of you. I hold you in deep love. Thank you for being here with all of us. And until we meet again here in the Light Mastery Academy, holding you in light. All my love.